So this phone right here, the iPhone 11 Pro Max, is now at peak value. Now, you can actually get this phone for right around $560 renewed on Amazon right now. I'll leave a link to this down below. But this phone right here only has one major con, and that is that it's not a 5G phone. However, pretty much everything else still is holding up very well. This is actually what started me into really enjoying the larger Mac style devices, especially when it came out with this triple camera. This was the first time I really felt like I could actually replace my camera. Even this camera I'm using right now to make this current video, the Sony ZV-1, this iPhone right here can record pretty close. This 11 Pro Max can record pretty close to this camera. Not quite, but pretty close. So really strong cameras. But I want to explain to you some other reasons why this is a peak value. This phone initially launched at like $1,100, so it was way up there. I think I paid somewhere around $1,275 for this one. So definitely you're getting a 50% discount on what was a $1,000 phone. Okay, so let me discuss to you why the build of this phone and the body is still a good value as well. The current 13 Pro Max actually features essentially the same material on the back and on the edges. It's a little bit heavier. The cameras have blown up a little bit, but overall this phone feels every bit as premium as the current $1,200 iPhone. So for half the price right now, you can get yourself a phone that feels nearly as premium, and it will be getting iOS 16. It will be getting the newer updates. Yes, at 226 grams, nothing about this feels cheap, and it's such a large phone. Take a look at the iPad mini. I mean, this is pretty close to the size of a little miniature iPad in your pocket. Not quite gonna give you iPad OS and all that fun stuff like the mini, but still a pretty cool phone still here, even though it came out in 2019. All right, so let's take a look at the display. We just pull up a random article here and you can just kind of see how good it really is still. The bezels here are still very minimal, and it's something that's very much in line until we get to the bigger notch up here, but still overall, the phone still looks and feels like a really premium phone here in the display. It's Super Retina XDR OLED, so you'll definitely get yourself those deep blacks. You can see Elon right there, but you'll see deep blacks when you do have black presented on screen. Really sharp text, as you are featuring yourself well over 456 ppi. It's actually 458 to be exact. I think that's slightly higher than the current 13 Pro Max. Don't quote me on that one though. And it's still pretty smooth. And even though it's a 60 Hertz panel, it's still quite smooth because Apple does a great job with optimization. So it's really tough to tell. Hence why you still see it on the 13 Pro Max. Not only that, the colors do just really pop on here. I'm not gonna say they're Samsung level, but they're very accurate. They're tuned nicely. And if you're into if you're into editing your photos and doing a lot of, creative things on your phone, posting social media and stuff like that, they look great on there as well. So really has stood the test of time. An excellent camera here, and the only thing that's really happened is that the current iPhones have just improved upon what was already an excellent camera. So this is still a really good value right now. And so when it comes to this display, not only all those things I mentioned already, it just gets really bright, around 800 nits actually. This is one of the brightest. This is actually when iPhone actually started upping the brightness game, and I was super impressed with it. True Tone Night Shift Dark Mode. Overall, fantastic outdoors. I could still see it outdoors. And we'll talk about the battery life later, but on the whole, the display you're getting here for half the price is phenomenal. Now, I haven't updated this to iOS 16 just yet. I've had a few requests on checking out the 11 Pro Max's performance on iOS 16. So let me know in the comments how many more of you guys want to see that down below. I'll consider covering it on the latest beta. I think around beta 3 already. I'll consider that soon. Just let me know if you actually want to see that for the 11 Pro Max. But software experience identical to iPhone 13 Pro Max. Widgets, you do have the app library and essentially the Apple ecosystem. So how many years left of updates? Probably around 2 or 3. So right now you still get a good value because you get an iPhone that was $1,000 for half the price, and you still have at least half of its update cycles left. So that's incredible. Also, this was a very fast chip. The Apple A13 Bionic improved upon an already great A12 Bionic, and it's actually showing to perform really well on the 10R for iOS 16, so this is not going to break a sweat whatsoever. In addition, this phone does have 3.66 gigabytes of memory available according to Geekbench 5, but it really has 4 gigabytes of RAM. The truth of the matter is I don't have issues with performance on this phone even now. I mean, just look at it. I don't have to tell you that. You can see it right here on the video. It's butter, like just like you would expect for any iPhone. So you're not gonna buy this now in this beautiful green color and just be like, this thing's slow. It's just not true. It really runs very fast though, even now. Okay, so let me quickly allow me to elaborate on the camera game a little bit more for the iPhone 13 Pro Max. It's a triple 12 megapixel camera setup. I've actually created an entire video on this camera alone because I was super impressed with it. I didn't do the same for the 12 Pro Max because it wasn't a massive update change, but when this thing came out, I was like, okay, we finally have a pro-like experience. Apple brought the ability to tweak to 16:9 aspect ratios. They also brought, exposures, night modes. They brought all these things that just really made it feel like you finally have a camera that can do more than just the basic iPhone setup. I really enjoyed that. Also, it has 4K 60 on the rear and the front, so everything matches up really gorgeous, and you can actually vlog on the front of this camera. And while you're vlogging, you can actually edit the video in iMovie and match up the rear and the front camera very well, just because you are using 4K 60 lens on the rear and on the front. So the camera experience overall, just an excellent experience. I also like how you can do 4K 60 on the ultra wide lens. That also was fantastic. So I'm not gonna dive too deep into samples and stuff here in this episode. Take a look at my camera video. It was literally an entire day. I just shot videos and photos all day. I'll link it right up here if you really wanna see the depth of what this thing is capable of. Again, this camera I'm using right now doesn't even have as many photo options. The one I'm using to make this video cannot even do ultra wide angles. This camera can't even do 4K 60 that I'm using to make this video. So this camera, even now, is a steal considering what you're gonna pay for it. Battery life on this phone is actually quite good. You see, we started this video like 17%. It's barely going down, just a few percentages. And usually when you're in that red range, it goes down a little faster, but I actually did an all-day battery test with this phone as well a while back. I'll link that one down below in the description. Overall, man, battery impressive. This was actually when it started getting really good for the larger iPhones. 3969 milliamp hour to be exact on here. And with this phone, because low power mode doesn't actually lower the refresh rate like it does on the 13 Pro Max, nothing really feels different, and you get even better battery life. This one I was actually going into the second day with still having like 20-30% battery life left. Kind of reminds me of the 2019 of the 13 Pro Max now. This was like the 2019 version of the 13 Pro Max, what that is today. One area I will knock it a little bit is the phone call, the actual reception, the bars. I wasn't getting as many bars as I do on the current iPhones. This is probably due to Intel modems in here. However, it wasn't like it ended my experience. It was still a really good phone experience. In addition, you will sacrifice with this phone not having the 5G modems. You really have to decide, can I deal with this, 4G for that long? And the fact of the matter is, it depends on your type of phone carrier you're using, like how fast is their 5G, how available is it? Because for the most part, I don't see breakneck speeds yet, even on T-Mobile everywhere I go. Yes, it is available downtown, in urban centers and places that have a lot of towers and stuff like that. Yes, but not everywhere. So I really do think 4G LTE is still going to be around for a little while. So if you want to use this for a year or two, it's a solid option to use. It really feels like you're getting a $1,000 phone for 50% off. And I won't leave this video without mentioning Face ID and how this one actually improved a little bit on the angles from iPhone 10. So it was actually super accurate. And I haven't seen any major updates since iPhone 11 Pro Max on the Max editions. So really fast iPhone unlocking experience on this device right here. And I will mention before we get up out of here, the audio was fantastic. The Max phones always have the loudest audio on a phone. It actually is so loud that if you play it at nighttime, you are definitely going to be not quite as good as like an iPad, but you're getting up there. So it's pretty loud. You might have to turn it down because it might disturb some people. Really loud, really crispy audio on this phone. So iPhone 11 Pro Max 2022, we're getting near iPhone 14 Pro Max season, just a couple months away here. It's at peak value though, and it's going to get even better value once the 14 Pro Max comes out. Value is subjective, but the truth of the matter is that if you don't want to pay a top dollar, this phone right here and you want a max iPhone, I don't think you'll be disappointed unless you're really a stickler about 5G, you're really picky about signal strength, and you're really into the latest and greatest. And one thing I gotta mention, I forgot to mention it, I just remembered it, how comfortable the curved edge feels in the hand. I just miss this feel. I know some people say it's more like Samsung, the curves. They like the squared industrial iPhone look. It's more unique to them. And I agree, it is more unique, but comfort wise, this thing it's just butter. It just feels like it was meant to be there, right in the palm. Anyway, if you have an 11 Pro Max, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. Do you agree? Do you think this is peak value, or do you think I'm full of it? You think Nick's like, what is up with this guy? What is he talking about peak value? This thing doesn't even have 5G. This thing's 3 years old. Is that you? Well, that's fine. Let's discuss it down below. Thumbs up if you found the video helpful, entertaining, informing. I'll catch you on the next one. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.